Hello students, today we're going to talk about nature's fury. It is about, as you can see here, extreme weather phenomena, natural disasters. Now, at first, I want to show you some pictures. As you can see, there are pictures of natural disasters. I know that you know some of these, but again, I want to ask, what do you think these are? There are 8 pictures. You are familiar with some of them, but there are some extras you can see. These are, let's see, tornado, hurricane, flood, avalanche, heavy snowfall, tsunami, hail, and lightning. Here is the question now. Have you ever experienced one of these natural phenomena, natural disasters? Have you ever experienced them in your country? Which one of these is common or rare in your country? Or can you think of any other phenomena that you've experienced before? While you are thinking of some examples, I'm skipping to our books. So, I want you to open your student's book, page 78. Here, you can see the words that we have talked about just now. These are
tornado, hurricane, flood, tsunami,
and
heavy snowfall.
yes. Well, I think you already found some examples about the natural phenomena that you have experienced. Here are some sample structures. Here. So you can write down some sample sentences on your notebooks. You can use these structures. For instance, you can say, floods are common in my country. Tsunamis, hurricanes, and tornadoes are not so common in my country. Heavy snowfalls are rare in my country. Or you can say, we've been experiencing earthquakes lately. So you can say, as a natural disaster, earthquakes are common in our country, in my country. So, in the light of these examples, I want you to write some examples about these natural disasters similar to these. Write them on your notebooks, please. All right, now that we have revised the vocabulary mentioned in the text, we can look at the big picture on our books, which is this one. In the second exercise, it says, look at the picture in the text, read the title, and the first and the last sentence in the article. So let's look at the picture first. What do you think it would be? Yes, it is obviously a tornado. When you read the title, this is the title, it says, The Man Who Rode a Tornado. What can you understand? Yes, of course, the article is about a tornado. But what about this man? As we can understand from the first sentence, it says 19-year-old high school student. He is a 19-year-old student. So what do you think is the relation between a tornado and this student? So let's try to read the last sentence. I had always wanted to see a tornado, he said, but I definitely didn't want to be in one. So he says in here. We can understand easily that he had been in one, right? He had been in a tornado, and this shows us he is a survivor, right? So let's see. The text is about a tornado that picked up 19-year-old Matt Sutter. He managed to survive, so it shows us he's a survivor. Okay. Since we've understood the main idea about the article, let's finish reading. Now, I want you to look at your books, follow the lines while I'm playing the track. Then, We'll go through the comprehension questions together. Ready? Let's start.
The man who rode a tornado. "19-year-old high school student Matt Sutter was visiting his grandmother in her trailer in Missouri, USA. Earlier in the day, the weather had been nice, but during the afternoon, dark clouds started gathering in the sky. By night, it had started raining heavily, and strong winds were blowing against the trailer. It was then that Matt heard a strange, loud noise.
It was like 10 aeroplanes around us,
He said. Suddenly, the walls, floor, and ceiling started shaking. Furniture was moving around in all directions. Terrified, Matt tried to hold on to the sofa, but he couldn't. Something lifted him off his feet and out as the walls of the trailer were collapsing. When Matt woke up, he was lying on the grass in the middle of a field. The tornado had thrown him 400 meters from the trailer. He had a cut on his head and some small cuts and bruises on his body. When he realized what had happened, he went to a neighbor for help. His neighbor wrapped him in a blanket and drove him back to the trailer. His grandma was okay, but the trailer was in pieces. Matt's grandma hadn't expected Matt to survive and was delighted to see him. Matt was very lucky to escape disaster. No other person on record has traveled that distance by tornado and lived to tell the story. For Matt, it was a frightening experience.
I had always wanted to see a tornado,
He said.
but I definitely didn't want to be in one.
Yes, well, now that we know all about the story, let's look at exercise 3, which is a comprehension part. It says read the statements and mark true, false, or doesn't say. So now I'm giving you some time, but don't forget you are supposed to mark the statements according to the text we've just listened. All right, now let's start with the first one. It says Matt Sutter lived with his grandmother in a trailer. Let's see the answer. What did you say? True, false, or doesn't say? Is there any information about it? Yes, let's see. The answer is false because in the text it says he was visiting his grandmother, not lived or was living with her. In the second part, it says it was raining all day before the tornado hit. Let's see the answer. It says false again because it says earlier in the day the weather had been nice, not rainy, right? And the third one, passing planes made the trailer shake. Let's see the answer. Again, false. Let's see, because it says it was like 10 airplanes around us. It is about that. There is no information about shaking here. And next one, Matt hit his head when he landed in the field. Let's see the answer. Doesn't say. It shows us there is no information about this line. Next one, Matt escaped the tornado with minor injuries. Let's see. It is true because it is talking about only the cut and some bruises, right? Small cuts and bruises, and these are the minor injuries, not the major ones. And the last one says, Matt's grandmother thought he was dead. Let's see. It is true because she said, I hadn't expected him to survive and I was delighted to see him, right? She had been happy. All right. So, all right, friends, now I want you to open page 79. Look at exercise 9 here, this part. As you can see, it's a listening part. First, let's look at the pictures and try to understand the story going on here. These are the pictures. There are 4 pictures you can see. And have a look at for a while. Now I'm going to play the track and I want you to listen to it and put the pictures in the correct happening order, please. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Trevor, I'm so happy to see you again. When I heard the news about the tsunami in Thailand, I was so worried about you and your family.
Thanks, Kendra. Yes, I'm happy to be home again. It was a really scary experience. I feel lucky to be alive.
So, were you on the coast when the tsunami hit?
Yes, we were. My parents, my sister and I were staying in a hotel in a beautiful village by the sea. We had been there for 3 days when it happened. It was Saturday morning and we were all sitting on our balcony eating breakfast. The beach was just 50 meters away and we had a beautiful view of the sea.
So, what happened then?
Well, while we were eating, we noticed that the hotel's waiters were pointing at the sea. For some reason, the sea was moving out very quickly, so there was just wet sand for around 50 meters. Some people were taking pictures of this strange sight with their cameras. Then, suddenly my sister grabbed my hand and screamed, "Tsunami, run!" She knew that the tide moves out just before a tsunami hits the coast. So we ran out of the hotel and up a hill. We could hear the noise of the waves behind us.
So did you reach the top of the hill safely?
Yes, thankfully we did. We looked down to the beach below and all we could see was water. We felt exhausted but really relieved to be safe. Later, when the sea was calm again, we went back down to our hotel. It was totally destroyed and there was mud and fish everywhere. Also, a lot of people were injured, but thankfully everyone in the village survived.
That's an amazing story, Trevor. I'm so glad you're okay.
All right, as you've completed, so let's see what is the first one.
It was Saturday morning and we were all sitting on our balcony eating breakfast. The beach was just 50 meters away and we had a beautiful view of the sea.
So obviously, when you look at the pictures, you can see there's a balcony in this picture. So let's see, this is the first one.
Then, suddenly my sister grabbed my hand and screamed, "Tsunami, run!"
Okay, which one is the second one, you think? So when you look at the pictures, you can see tsunami is coming here. The second one. What about the third one?
So we ran out of the hotel and up a hill. We could hear the noise of the waves behind us.
So here is the hill. You can see the hill. This is the third one. And the last one.
So did you reach the top of the hill safely?
Yes, thankfully we did. We looked down to the beach below and all we could see was water.
So in this picture, you can see they are safe on the hill, on the top of the hill. So they are watching the water here. Okay, this is the last one. All right. Well, as you can realize, all these parts that we have done, that we have been doing so far, had a different structure here. So, as you can see on exercise 6 here, the structure is had plus past participle. You know, past participle means the third form of the main verbs. We call this tense what? Past perfect. So we're going to cover the affirmative and the negative version, negative forms of past perfect here. But at this moment, I am going to talk about, or let's say, remind you when and how we use this structure. But first, I want you to find this structure in the article to see whether you can identify, recognize, or not. So, let me give you some time for this. You can underline the structures in the article, or you can use your highlighters. Here are the examples. Had been nice, had started raining, had thrown him, had happened, hadn't expected, had always wanted. You can see all the subjects are using had. It doesn't change for any subject. And the verbs are in the third form. We call them past participle here. And these are affirmatives, right? The positive forms. And this is the negative form, right? Because we have not between had and the main verb. All right. Now, as you can see, we form past perfect by using had plus verb 3. We use had as an auxiliary assistant verb here. Here you can see it's an auxiliary verb, or we call assistant verb, for all the subjects. Here you can see I, you, he, she, it, we, they, and we have another you, the plural one. We all use had for all the subjects, okay? And put the third form, the past participle form of the verbs next to it. So it becomes what? I had visited, or she had left. It's like this. But if we want to make a negative sentence, we should add what? We should add not here. Here, we form negations by putting not after had. So it becomes he hadn't, here, the short form, or had not finished working. Okay? So you can see so far we've covered the structure here. Now, let's have a look at the usage of the tense to revise a little bit one more time. All right, here is the usage. We use the past perfect for an action which happened before a stated time in the past. By 10 o'clock, the children had done their homework. So here, by 10 o'clock is a stated time in the past. You can also give example like this: until 3 p.m. we had already finished our project, you can say. So until 3 p.m. is a stated time in the past as well. So for an action which happened before another past action, we can say the action which happened earlier here in the past is the past perfect, and the action which happened later is in the past simple. So as you can understand, we have two actions in the sentence. The first one is past perfect, the earlier action, right? And the second one is past simple, second action. It's the later action. So let's see the example. They had booked a table before they went to the restaurant. So first they had booked a table, then they went to the restaurant, as you can understand, right? So there is an order for the actions, happening order for the actions. This is the first action. This is the second action. All right? So we use it for an action which finished in the past and whose result was visible in the past, right? So this can remind you the present perfect. We are going to talk about it later on here. Let's see the example. She was happy because she had passed the test. So She had passed the test, right? And she was happy in the past. The action finished, but being happy here is a visible, right? Visible result here. But it is, as you can understand from the was, it is in the past, right? So, as I said before, it can remind you the present perfect. So, actually, here is the note part. It says the past perfect is the past equivalent. It means equals of the present perfect. So, they are similar. Actually, we can almost say they are same, but one of them is in the past, the other one is in the present, as you can see. So let's compare. This says he was angry because someone had stolen his bike. As you can understand from the was and had stolen, the sentence is in the past, right? So the action had stolen happened in the past. The result was angry was visible in the past. So all the actions are in the past, right? But here it's the same example. He is angry because someone has stolen his bike. As you can understand from is and has stolen, this sentence happens, right, in the present. So the action has stolen has just finished. The result is angry is still visible in the present. So that's why we can say they are similar, or maybe they are same, but one of them is in the past, the other one is in the present, which is present perfect and past perfect. Okay. As you know, we have in all tenses, in each tense, we have time words and phrases used with each tense, right? So here we have time words and phrases used with past perfect, okay? You know, we are using these time phrases, time words as a clue in a sentence. When we see these time words and phrases in a sentence, we can understand that we need to use actually past perfect. What are they? They are before, after, already, just, for, since. These you can remind present perfect here because we use them in the present perfect also, right? Till, until, when, by the time, never, etc. We can use lots of things to use with past perfect. All right? So, well, now that you will revise the structure one more time, let's open our books. Page 79 here. Okay. Exercise 7. Look at exercise 7. This exercise wants us to complete the sentences. Here, there are 6 sentences and there are some verbs here given. Sentences below using the given verbs here. You have to use the verbs in the past perfect form while completing for sure, right? And in this kind of exercises, I advise you to try to find clues in the sentences. Let's look at the first one as a sample, for example. Let's see. It says we did something the weather forecast, so we prepared for the bad weather. When you see this sentence, you should identify that there are 2 actions happened in the past, but one of them should be the first action and the other one, for sure, the second action. See the sentence here. It says we prepared for the bad weather, right? So we should understand that something happened earlier, right? So we can go for the first action here, right? So we need to search for the first action. That is the past perfect because earlier action always refers to the action happened before a stated time in the past. So here we prepared for the bad weather, we can understand that something happened before, right? We prepared for the bad weather. So we need to do it in what? Past perfect, because this is the earlier action. All right. Now I'm giving you some time to complete all the sentences, and then we are going to check them together. All right, let's see the answers. Here, she had arrived home before the snowstorm started. So this is the second action. This is the first action. She had arrived home before the snowstorm started. Third one, they had not expected the hurricane to be so strong. You can also write hadn't here, hadn't expected. It is also correct. So this is the first action, earlier action. Phil and Jim hadn't or had not realized there was an earthquake until they heard the news. This is the second action, later action, and this is the first action, earlier action here. Fifth one, we had moved to higher ground by the time the tsunami hit. This is the second action, later action, and this is the first action because we had moved before, right? Before, earlier. So the last one is the people had left their homes before the hurricane hit the island. So hurricane hit the island. This is the second action, later action. This is the first action. Before it hit, the people had already left their homes here. All right. Well, it is now time for your assignment. For the assignment, I want you to look at and read the article about the tornado one more time for your assignments. And this time, I want you to imagine you are Matt's grandma. So I want you to use these elements to write the story from your point of view. What does it mean, your point of view? It means that I was there, I was here, I was happy, I was sad. You need to use I because it is your point of view. Here is an example. Let's look at it just a little bit. Here, I was in my trailer with my grandson. It's like this, okay? So you need to read the text one more time. I'm reminding it once more to write the story from your point of view. I want you to use these mentioned elements here where you were. You need to mention where you were, who you were with, when it happened, what happened, and how you felt, okay? And your assignments will be emailed or assigned to you via Classroom, Google Classroom. So you can share with your writings there with your teachers, okay? So this is the end. See you in the next lesson.